Shalom.
Shalom.
First and foremost, we want to give all honor, praise, and glory to
Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Kakodash.
Double honor to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone and Root Well. Peace and salutation to the hopeful elect, pushing the true doctrine across the four winds, earth, and all truth and sincerity. With a Mississippi camp, and we're having a sit-down lesson, and we're going to go into the falling of empires. And we're going to just pretty much speak on how empires of the past, how they have had their time to reign, and they had their time to fall. And it has been a cycle throughout particular empires, man. And we're going to go into how we're at the time now of a particular empire, which would be Babylon, you know what I'm saying, the daughter of Babylon, how she's meeting her demise and getting ready to fall before a righteous kingdom is set forth. That's going to be a kingdom that lasts forever and ever under the rulership of Yahushua. So we're going to go ahead and go into the book of Daniel, the 2nd chapter, and have the Spirit lead us, man. We may just go through the whole chapter, we may skip down, but we're just going to go through the Spirit, and Lord willing is edifying.
This is Daniel 2:1. And in the 2nd year of the reign of Nebuchadnezzar dreamed dreams wherewith his spirit was troubled, and his sleep broke from him.
Right, so Nebuchadnezzar, he was having a dream. In this particular dream, he had seen something, but he wasn't able to explain it, and he wanted answers for that. You got it, bro.
Then the king commanded to call the magicians and the astrologers and the sorcerers and the Chaldeans to show the king his dreams. So they came and stood before the king. And the king said unto him, I have dreamed a dream, and my spirit was troubled to know the dream. Then spoke the Chaldeans to the king in Sarak, O king, live forever. Tell your servants the dream, and we will show you the interpretation.
Come. So Nebuchadnezzar acquired all these particular men, the astrologers, the wizards, the astrologers, you know, sorcerers, Chaldeans, pretty much to get them to give him an answer regarding the dream he had. But see, they wanted him to give them an interpretation of what he saw in the dream so they could break it down. But that isn't what he was looking for, because he didn't fully remember all the particular things that he saw in his dream.
The point was he knew that if he told them the dream,
right,
then they could make something up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Say, oh, this means that. But if you tell me what I dreamed of, then I no guarantee you can break it down.
So they were pretty much stalling.
Yeah.
Also, you know, for him to try to give them that, so you know what I'm saying, pretty much just follow up on what he said.
Right.
But like you said, he wanted to interpret it, so they, to prove to him, they knew what they were talking about. They could break it down, and they knew it.
Because anybody can tell you, okay, man, I dream about this cat, this horse, and then you can come and tell me this is what that means.
Right.
But how do I know? But if you can tell me what did I dream, well, you had a dream about a cat and a horse, I'm like, damn.
Right.
Okay, and then by default, of course, you gonna know, what that interpretation means.
Right.
It was very intelligent of him to do that.
Come.
Daniel 2:5, the king answered and said to the Chaldeans, the thing is gone from me. If you would not make known to me the dream with the interpretation thereof, ye shall be cut in pieces, and your houses shall be made a dunghill.
And that's pretty much what he was saying. If they didn't give him the interpretation without him telling them, then pretty much he had set a fate for them.
And to back you up, NLT version. But the king said to the astrologers, I am serious about this. If you don't tell me what my dream was and what it means, you will be torn limb from limb, and your houses will be turned into heaps of rubble.
They basically would have to prove their purpose, man. That they know what they're talking about without him actually giving them the interpretation itself of the dream.
Now, back in the NLT, verse 6, but if you tell me what I dream and what the dream means, I will give you many wonderful gifts and honors. Just tell me the dream and what the dream means.
So they was gonna be rewarded if they broke down the dream without him telling them what it was.
Verse 7, they answered again and said, let the king tell his servants the dream, and we will show the interpretation of it. The king answered and said, I know of certainty that you would gain the time because you see the thing is gone from me. So back in verse 8, the king replied, I know what you're doing. You are stalling for time because you know I am serious when I say this. Verse 9, but if you will not make known unto me the dream, there is but one decree for you have prepared lying and corrupt words to speak before me, till the time be changed thereof. Tell me the dream, I shall know that you can show me the interpretation thereof.
So you know these men was bugging out because they know they didn't have what it took to interpret that dream without getting some kind of feedback from Nebuchadnezzar for them to break it down, man. And he had already told them they couldn't do it; they were going to be put to death. So these men are pretty much, you know, they backs are pretty much against the wall, and they looking at death, man.
Verse 10, so the Chaldeans answered before the king and said, there is not a man on the earth that can show the king's matter. Therefore, there is no king, lord, nor ruler that asks such things at any magician or astrologer or Chaldean.
And that goes to show that the Lord wasn't dealing with these people, man, because they were not Israelites, and their faith wasn't in Yahweh Shem Yahushua. So therefore, you know, they didn't have nobody to rely on to give them the answers to be able to interpret the dream.
Yeah, because that's a hard thing to do.
Right.
So, like you're saying, Yahweh Shem Yahushua really has to be with you in order to give a person a dream. To tell a person a dream, not when a person has given you the dream and you break it down,
Right.
but you have to actually tell the dream and then break it down.
Right, like you was in his mind while he was dreaming.
Right. Verse 11. You got precepts?
It's Matthew 13:9. Who have ears to hear, let him hear. And the disciples came and said to him, why speakest thou unto them in parables? And you know, at this time frame, the disciples were asking Yahushua, was like a whole bunch of Israelites around in that scene. Like, why are you speaking to these people in dark sayings and mysteries, like hidden codes, you know?
Right.
This was Yahushua's response. Verse 11. He answered and said unto them, because it is given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it is not given. So if it's not given to 2/3 of our people, the Most High's chosen people that's upon the face of this earth, how much more these other nations, man?
Mhm.
You know?
Yeah. And verse Daniel 2 and 11. And it is a rare thing that the king required, and there is none other that can show it before the king, except the gods whose dwelling is not with the flesh.
Right, because these men didn't expect to wake up, you know, and be summoned by Nebuchadnezzar to interpret a dream that he didn't tell them about, and then ask them and tell them they're gonna be put to death that they didn't do it. So this actually had these men, you know what I'm saying, bugging out. So now they coming up with excuses, man.
For this cause the king was angry and very furious, and commanded to destroy all the wise men of Babylon. And the decree went forth that the wise men should be slain, and they sought Daniel and his fellows to be slain. Then Daniel answered in counsel, Then Daniel answered with counsel and wisdom to Arioch, the captain of the king's guard, which was gone forth to slay the wise men of Babylon. He answered and said to Arioch, the king's captain, why is the decree so hasty from the king? Then Arioch made the thing known to Daniel. Then Daniel went in and desired of the king that he would give him time, and that he would show the king the interpretation.
Right. So Daniel pretty much, man, he was finna get ready to rely on his power source, man. Yahweh Shem Yahushua, but he just needed a little time to go on and do what he had to do.
Yeah.
As far as inquiring and answer from the Lord, man. Praying, you know.
Yeah. Then Daniel went to his house and made the thing known to Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, his companions, that they would desire mercies of the Most High of heaven concerning this secret, then that Daniel and his fellows should not perish with the rest of the wise men of Babylon. Then was the secret revealed unto Daniel in a night vision. Then Daniel blessed the Most High of heaven.
That's right. So when Daniel got the vision from Yahweh Shem Yahushua, what did he do? He gave all praises, man, because he prayed for an answer and the Lord delivered, man.
Gotcha. This is Amos 3:7. And it says, surely the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua will do nothing, but he revealed his secret unto his servants, the prophets.
Right, man. And this is Daniel, man. He's a prophet, because this interpretation, man, is just him gonna be breaking down the dream that Nebuchadnezzar had, which is going into future events to happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's the hope.
Like back in the scripture, Daniel answered.
It's the hope.
Yes, Daniel answered and said, "Blessed be the name of the Most High forever and ever, for whatever his." And he changed the times and the season. He removed kings and set up kings. He gave wisdom unto the wise and knowledge to them that know understanding.
Right.
He revealed the deep and secret things. He know what is in the darkness, and the light dwell with him. I thank you and praise you, O you, power of my fathers, who have given me wisdom and might, and has made known unto me now what we desire of you. For you have not made known unto us, for you have now made known unto us the king's matter.
Right. So now he's received the vision. He know how to break it down. He's giving praise to Yahweh Bashem Yahushua for that vision. Now he's getting ready to deliver the breakdown to Nebuchadnezzar.
Mm-hmm. Therefore Daniel went in to Arioch, whom the king had ordained to destroy the wise men of Babylon. He went and said thus unto him, Destroy not the wise men of Babylon, bring me in before the king, and I will show unto the king the interpretation. Then Arioch brought in Daniel before the king in haste, and said thus unto him, I have found a man of the captives of Judah that will make known unto the king the interpretation. The king answered and said to Daniel, whose name was Belshazzar, Are you able to make known unto me the dream which I have seen and the interpretation thereof?
Mm-hmm.
Daniel answered in the presence of the king and said, The secret which the king has demanded cannot the wise men, the astrologers, the magicians, the soothsayers show unto the king. But there is a power in heaven that reveals secrets and make known to the king Nebuchadnezzar what shall be in the latter days. Your dream and the visions of your head on your bed are these. As for you, O king, your thoughts came into your mind on your bed, what should come to pass hereafter. And this also shows you that how the Most High deals with the other nations, because although he wasn't an Israelite, he still sent this heathen this dream. And he gave this man a declaration of things a declaration of things that was present and would come and pass. The future tense. Put your phone back. All right. Back in verse 29. As for you, O king, your thoughts came into your mind on your bed, what should come to pass hereafter, and he that reveals secrets make known to you what shall come to pass. But as for me, the secret is not revealed to me for any wisdom that I have more than any living, but for their sakes that shall make known the interpretation to the king, and that you might know the thoughts of your heart. You, O king, saw and behold a great image. This great image, whose brightness was excellent, stood before you, and the form thereof was terrible.
Right. So he explained to him that in his image was like a statue, but I guess, it had to be massive, but he didn't have the understanding of what he was looking at, and I'm pretty sure, according to the scriptures, it had to have been frightening for him.
Verse 32, this image's head was of fine gold, his breast and his arms of silver, his belly and his thighs of brass.
Right. So the head of gold, that's the actual Babylonian Empire, which was Nebuchadnezzar was the king of the empire, and they was Assyrians. And then you had the silver, which would be the Medo-Persians, who would take down the Babylonian Empire, man. And the Medo-Persians was like like a collabo, like the Persian and the Medes came together.
Persia took over.
And Persian took over the Medes. Okay, and then ultimately they took down the Babylonian Empire.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. And then he said,
this image head was of fine gold, his breast and his arms of silver, his belly and his thighs of brass.
Okay, and that brass represents the Grecian Empire, man, who ultimately took down the Medo-Persian Empire. All right, and that was under Alexander the Greek, man.
Mm-hmm.
And that empire actually ended up dwelling before Alexander the Greek died, but he divided his kingdom into upon his 4 generals, man. And over a period of time, that whole thing depleted because they got more wicked and more wicked, man.
Yeah. And just to back you up about the Median Persian Empire, this is Daniel, I want to say, yeah, this is Daniel 7:5. And behold, another beast, a second like a bear, and it raised up itself on one side. So the bear is a representation of what? The Median Persian Empire.
Right.
And it raised up itself on one side, meaning what? The Persian Empire got the best of it, right? And it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it between the teeth. And those 3 ribs represents the 3 kingdoms that was taken down. I want to say it was Lydia, Egypt, and Babylon of it. And they said, thus unto it arise, devour much flesh. Just to back up the point.
Come out the water.
All right, back in the scripture. All right. So we're back in Daniel 2:32. The image head was of fine gold, his breast and his arms of silver, his belly and his thighs of brass, his legs of iron, his feet part of iron and part of clay.
And them legs of iron represents the Roman Empire.
Yep.
Okay? And the the iron and the clay,
Yeah, his feet part of iron and part of clay.
right? And that's where we at today
That's right.
with the NATO and the EU. Was what we talking about? The 7 heads and the 10 toes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's the point we at now, man. And see, the Babylonian Empire had its time and it fell. The Medo-Persian had its time to reign and it fell. The Grecians had their time to reign and they failed. Rome had their time to reign, they failed. But now this Rome reloaded, man.
Yeah.
And the times we in now, you know.
It's that little horn mentioned in the book of Daniel. You know, the extension of the 4th beast. The 4th beast represents the Roman Empire. Hey, this I got you. Revelation 12:3. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his heads.
Right. And the great red dragon is what? It's a representation of the Rome pagan empire. And the 7, which are the 7 heads, are these 7 Edomite kingdoms, which was Germanian Major, Germanian Minor. We had Spain, France, Rome, Britain, and Greece.
Yeah, Greece.
Greece. And then those 10, the 10 kings, or what they say, the 10 what?
10 horns.
The 10 horns,
Yeah.
which later became what? The EU, which now consists of these European countries, which consist of 28 countries. And they did that, added more countries to offset prophecy, if you can receive that in spirit. You know?
And just to prove that that red dragon, that great red dragon, you got a show called Spartacus. On the episode from season 1, episode 1, you had the name of the title was called the Red Serpent.
Mm-hmm.
And on that he was going against, he was a Thracian, which was a Jake, by the way. He was going against the ancient Roman Empire in that time frame.
Mm-hmm.
So that just shows you proof who that great red serpent is according to the scriptures, which is Esau Edom, which goes all the way back to the garden when Eve was talking to that serpent.
Right.
You go to the word serpent, it goes to like a treacherous, crafty, cunning person. And that represents the characteristics of Esau Edom today.
That's right.
And show that on Spartacus too.
Yeah.
On that shield, had that red serpent too.
Yeah. And at the I think the last scene of Spartacus, you remember when was it Craxus? When Spartacus ran up the hill and how that eagle sounded off, then you know that these so-called white people were actually the pagan Roman Empire back then, which were nothing but Edomites, right? I get that. So back up Shaquat, bro.
13.
Yeah, Revelation.
13. I hit it.
You get it?
Which one, Revelation 13.
I think it's
It's somewhere like
Yeah.
Probably 13:3.
Yeah, it's talking about, Revelation 13:3, just to back you up. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. Meaning what? Through the process of what? The Renaissance.
All the Roman Empire.
Yeah. And Renaissance means what? rebirth of what? Back to these Edomites coming back into power. Okay,
And what proves that, you had a thing called iconoclasm.
that's right.
You know, Esau, Edom, what they'll do, they'll destroy the images. What images were they destroying?
That's right.
Dark images.
Yeah,
So that shows you coming to power, you're coming back into your supremacy. So that's why he destroyed all the images of the dark people that ruled in the so-called dark ages. They started detaching those faces and start putting upon their faces.
So he covered the face of the judge thereof.
They started putting the likeness of their images.
Right, right.
You know?
that's right. All right. Back into the scripture, Daniel 2:33. His legs of iron and his feet part of iron and part of clay. Right. 34. You saw till that a stone was cut out without hands, which smote the image on his feet that were of iron and clay, and broke them to pieces.
And that's speaking of Yahweh Shai, man. Because this is the time of who's going to be ruling when Yahweh Shai returns. Which is going to be, you know what I'm saying, which they don't need you, but this is like brother was going to, this is Rome reloaded, man.
Gotcha, bro. It's Isaiah 28:16. Therefore, thus says the Lord power, behold, I lay in Zion for a foundation, a stone, a tried stone, a precious cornerstone, a sure foundation. He that believe it should not make haste.
Right. So Yahushua is a representation of that cornerstone. Right. You can't build a foundation without that cornerstone, as well as that stone is a representation of that fathership Yahushua is going to be in. And then, like Elder Kazak stated, basically how it was made without hands, meaning what? That Yahushua is coming he's coming back in technology that this world has not seen.
Right.
See, this technology he's bringing back is not man-made. Right?
So that, and that's why they can't figure out them chariots. They be trying, they be the seal. And they can't figure out how they be moving the way they move. So when Yahshua come back, they gonna see some so they never seen.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Gotcha.
That's right, bro.
And it's Isaiah 47, started start verse 1. Come down, sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon.
Right.
You know, that dust represents that, you know, that stand confusion.
Yeah.
And that virgin daughter represents America, you know.
Meaning what? She has never been touched.
Yeah.
War has never, oh my bad.
You got them.
Yeah, war has never been conducted on the shores of America. And this was a heavy ass dream that Yahweh Shah gave this heathen.
Yeah.
Although, like you said, he wasn't an Israelite, or the priest of the Shaquai said he wasn't an Israelite, but it was still a heavy revelation. But it took a prophet to break it down.
That's right.
Right?
So, old virgin daughter of Babylon, you know, think about like America's cherry haven't been popped yet.
Right.
So
Never
those
been
nuclear
penetrated.
pistols are going to penetrate this earthly realm. It's going to tear, it's going to
You'll
leave
bust
them
them wide open.
bloody everything, man. Yep. So there's no throne, no O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. Take the millstones and grind meal, uncover thy locks, make bare the leg, uncover the thigh, pass over the rivers.
And this is the reason why you said all the shame America has done. Via the prophets, you got whistleblowers and things of that nature.
Verse 3, thy nakedness should be uncovered, yea, thy shame should be seen. I will take vengeance, and I will not beat thee as a man.
And that's Yahweh Shah.
Yep.
And I think when you go into the term of man, it means he's not coming back as a feeble person.
Right.
Right? He's coming back in all power.
Yep.
Right.
Angelic
Yeah.
force.
An angelic force, right.
Yep.
Extraterrestrial body. All right. And now back into the scripture, his legs of iron, his feet part of iron and part of clay. Right. And like the brother was saying, and we are in the feet part of iron and part of clay at this time frame, which is a representation of NATO and the EU, because you got EU countries that are strong financially, and you got EU countries that are weak financially.
Yeah.
Right? Like who's a weak? Like Greece. Greece is weak, you know. Back into the scripture. But Germany is a strong country. France is a strong financial company. Albania is a weak country within the EU setup. And see, and basically they're not getting along because basically because of their economic status.
That's that division.
And that's that division.
Partly weak, partly strong.
Partly weak and partly strong. strong EU countries based on their financial system and weak EU countries based on their financial system, right? Verse 34, you saw till that a stone was cut out without hands, which smote the image on his feet that were of iron and clay and broke them to pieces. Then was the iron, the clay, the brass, the silver, and the gold broken to pieces together, became like the chaff of the summer threshing floors. And the wind carried them away.
It's that nuclear fire, the nuclear destruction.
Yep. What comes to mind? Tells me in Revelation 7 and 4.
It's Jeremiah 51:1. Thus said the Lord, behold, I will raise up against Babylon and against them that dwell in the midst of them that rise up against me and destroy wind.
That's wind. That's that nuclear destruction, nuclear capability. All right. Boy, that's the only wind that can destroy a kingdom.
Right.
Can't be the normal wind or the regular wind, right? It's a representation of nuclear destruction.
We say Malachi, the elements should melt.
Right.
Perfect heat.
Yeah.
It's just Proverbs 7:4.
Don't know Revelation 7 and 4.
Yeah.
Was it where God holding back the wind?
No, it's like I heard now my which
Was it
Same
something?
chapter.
when we start on one day.
Okay.
And this is Revelation 71. And after these things, I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds
And
of
that's
the
what
earth,
these angels doing now.
Yeah.
We're in this time frame right now, right? Go ahead.
and that the wind should not blow on the earth,
Meaning what? Nuclear destruction. Meaning not letting World War III manifest as of yet. Why? Because prophecies still has to be fulfilled, although there are 2 major prophecies. Revelation, the 13th chapter, has to come before this prophecy.
That's right.
no on the sea,
Right.
no on the tree, or
Right.
any tree. So like,
Mm-hmm.
verse 2. And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having a seal of the living power.
Mm-hmm.
And he cried with a loud voice to the 4 angels, to whom was given to hurt the earth and in the sea. Verse 3, saying, hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the tree, until we seal the servant of our power in their
Right,
foreheads.
so once all the elect has been sealed, it's game time.
Yep.
It's game time. All right, back into the scripture.
Yeah, Isaiah 14:23. I will also make it a possession for the bitter and pools of water, and I will sweep it with the besom of destruction, said the Lord of hosts.
Right, and besom of destruction is talking about what? Because how that nuclear destruction is going to make contact with America. It's going to be like you're sweeping a room.
Yeah.
You know, and when you sweep a dusty room, you see how that dust formulate, and that's how America is going to be.
Yeah.
The Most High is literally going to sweep America with those nuclear missiles.
And in 2 Peter, it goes into how her works that they're in should be burnt up.
That's right.
So everything's gonna be burnt up by those nuclear missiles.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna spill some my phone, bro. All right, you had something, bro?
Yeah, I got
Go
something.
ahead, bro. Come on.
This Jeremiah 51 and 7. Babylon has been a golden cup in the Most High's hand.
Meaning what? She has that top position of wickedness. Gold means a top position, right? Cup means her proportion, her role. Go ahead, bro.
That made all the earth drunken.
Meaning what? With philosophies. Her wine, also in the Greek meaning love potion. Continue.
The nation have drunk of her wine, and therefore the nations are mad.
Right.
Behold, it's like, hey, Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. How for her? Take a bump for her pain. It's so.
I'm alive, bro. Let's have some time on alive. Good. All right. I'm gonna go back to it. It states, this is Daniel 2:36. This is the dream, and we will tell the interpretation thereof before the king. You, O king, are a king of kings. For the Most High of heaven has given you a kingdom, power, and strength and glory. And wheresoever the children of men dwell, the beasts of the field and the fowls of the heaven has he given into your hand, and has made you ruler over them all. You are this head of gold. Verse 39, and after you shall rise another kingdom inferior to you. And what kingdom was that? The Median Persian, right? And it was inferior. So out of all these kingdoms, even all the way to the United States, Nebuchadnezzar had the most glorious kingdom. And Daniel is explaining it to him. And after you shall arise another kingdom inferior to you, which is what? Median Persian, and another third kingdom of brass, which is the Greeks, which shall bear rule over all the earth, and the fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron, which is what? The pagan Roman Empire. For as much as iron break in pieces and subdue all things, and as iron to break all these, shall it break in pieces and bruise. And whereas you saw the feet and toes, part of the potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided. Right? And we're in this time frame right now, which is a representation of the EU and NATO. And you also can add America. All right, go ahead, bro.
This is the book of, the book of Luke 11 and 17. It says, but he, referring to Yahushua, knowing their thoughts, said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation.
Against the Edomites. Go ahead.
And a house divided against a house falleth.
Right, right. And like we said earlier, you have strong EU countries and you have weak EU countries. Greece is known as a weak EU country. Albania is known as a weak EU country. Germany is strong. France is strong. You know, I want to say Italy is strong too. You know, back into the scripture. And whereas you saw the feet and toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided, but there shall be in it of the strength of the iron, for as much as you saw the iron mixed with miry clay. And iron and mud don't mix.
Right.
You know, it doesn't mix. Verse 42. And the toes of the feet were part of iron and part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. Got that? Verse 43. You got precept, bro? Okay, and whereas you saw as iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, meaning what? Doing business with these other countries, like Ham, right? But they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. And in the days of these kings shall the Most High of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms and shall stand forever.
Yep, it's referring to the kingdom of heaven.
That's right.
Which is when Yahushua is going to institute on his second coming. And that's not given to everybody. That's why it's stated so in the 147th chapter. He showed his word to Jacob, his statutes and judgments unto Israel. He had not done so with any other nation. So that's only given to the elect of the Israelites right now in this time frame.
Yep. For as much as you saw the stone was cut out of the mountain without hands, and that it break in pieces the iron, the brass, the clay, the silver, and the gold, the great power has made known to the king what shall come to pass hereafter, and the dream is certain, and the interpretation thereof is sure. Meaning it's going to happen.
That's it for certain.
For certain. Then the king Nebuchadnezzar fell on his face and worshipped Daniel, and commanded that they should offer an oblation and sweet odors unto him. The king answered unto Daniel and said, of a truth is it that your power is a power of gods and Lord of lords, Lord of kings, and a revealer of secrets, seeing you could reveal the secret. Then the king made Daniel a great man and gave him many great gifts, and made him ruler over the whole province of Babylon, and chief of the governors over all the wise men of Babylon. Then Daniel requested of the king, and he sent Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego over the affairs of the province of Babylon, but Daniel sat in the gate of the king.
Come on. Anything else?
This Daniel 7:27. It says, and the kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven should be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom.
It's talking about how Yahushua became that great mountain in Daniel, the 4th chapter, right? It's talking about the kingdom of heaven, the everlasting kingdom. Go ahead.
And all dominions should serve and obey him.
And that's little. Go ahead.
That's it.
That's it. All right, Charles. All right, hey, want to close it up? Hey, Lord, will y'all edify our praises to Yahweh, Hashem, Yahushua, Hashem, Kadosh. Double honor to the apostles, the elders. Salutations to you, sincere brothers, teaching in truth and in sincerity of shalom.
Shalom.